what is being supplied, QS, and what is being demanded. That's equilibrium. And so all it's saying graphically is at $3, I wish to sell 7 units of corn, 7 bushels of corn. And consumers are saying at $3, we wish to buy exactly 7 units of corn. And if it were that simple, we'd be done. But of course, it is not that simple because the economy is comprised of 8 billion people living on this planet. And 8 billion people are subject to change every second of every day. Not to mention, as climate changes, we also are subject to change. So, if there is a natural disaster and there is less supply because there's actual shutdowns of manufacturing in the Gulf of Mexico of oil, then there will be less supply of oil to go around. And so there will be a shift of the supply curve. And now price was $3. Let's call this product oil real quick. Price was $3. What is it now after the shift? Let's call it $3.50. And what happened to the supply? Went down to 5. Let's call that 5. So you asked before, why did prices go up when the supply went down? It's because of this. It's because there was a shock to the system, the system of oil production, and it resulted in less supply of oil. Less supply of oil is going to lead to an increased price until we return back to equilibrium. And we may never return back to equilibrium, right? Because there's always a shift of demand and supply. Yes?
So if the supply shifts up, does the demand shift down?
Well, what will happen is, let's say we are right here. Let me call this point, let me just call this point A. Okay. Now, at this point, we see right now, demand is still down here. Okay, so technically, let me put this little curve here. Let me call this 9. So let's look at this price line of 350. This price line of 350. It's connecting to these two curves, right? Yes. So the supply curve shifts up, and it creates a new price. Okay? But what happened is there's not enough people to purchase at that price. Not enough people. Because the people, right, are down here. The shift was unnatural. It was Harvey. And so prices tend to adjust back downwards. In other words, prices tend to adjust back down, ceteris paribus, all things equal. So will we see prices adjust back down to their former equilibrium state? We might. But at the same time, as seasonality starts to happen, right? Christmas is coming up. It becomes a car buying and more of a buying season. We might start seeing more demand. Right? And if there's more demand, that's going to also bring prices back up. So the dynamic here is very interesting. As supply shocks happen, it creates changes in price. And the same thing happens with demand. Now think about this deeply. You have a situation where there's 5 determinants of demand, and there's 6 determinants of supply. Is it safe to say that these determinants occur simultaneously?
Yes.
I think so. Is it also safe to say that these determinants occur all the time, frequently? In fact, with great frequency. So for a price to always stay the same, highly improbable. Prices will always fluctuate for all goods. There's no good that's safe to the same price all the time, unless a store forces it at the same price all the time, right? If a store says we're always going to charge $5 for bread no matter what happens in the marketplace, that's one thing. But if the bread price is subject to the marketplace, it's always going to change.
I got a question.
Yes.
And just to be clear,
Mm-hmm.